Good morning and good day and happy Sunday and great weekend and happy September. And thank you for joining us here on uh, this day, whatever day it is. I'm your host, Michael Neal of the Odyssey Files. And I don't know what is going on with me right now, but I just completely messed that whole effing thing up. But that's okay because I have you, my wonderful co-host, Mr. Anthony Hernandez. Good morning.
Good morning. It has been a good morning so far.
And it was for me too, right up until about 30 seconds ago. And then it took a nosedive into Shitsville. So my apologies on that for those of you who listen to the show a lot. I usually don't do that. Like the one thing I can get right is the like the good day or whatever that I do at the beginning.
The intro.
The intro. Apparently not today. I'm all flustered because of our conversation before the show. Didn't have time to refocus. I almost forgot to bring us out of the thing before the intro started. So yeah, not firing on all cylinders or whatnot. That's okay. I'll get it back sooner or later. Just a brief warning. Just in like the 20 minutes that Anthony and I were, or actually less than 15 minutes that Anthony and I were talking before the show, I've already broken up twice. So if that happens during the show, just Anthony's here. You're going to be just fine. I'll be back shortly. So want to introduce our topic today because it's filled with great stories, total entertainment. And as you can see, we're going to talk about the United States Congressional UAP hearing that happened last week, which I'm sure none of you except Anthony here have any idea what happened during it. And that's fine. That's why we're here. Well, let me rephrase that. That's why you're here, Anthony. Because otherwise I would just be staring blankly at the screen if not for you, because I did not watch it yet. But your summaries are so magnificent that I don't think I have to anymore.
Probably cuts out a bunch of stuff you didn't want to hear anyway. So
exactly. See, that's what I love about having you as a co-host, because I don't have to do anything. Even if I want to, I don't really need to. But yeah. So anyway, September 9th, this year, 2025. This was actually the second hearing that they've done, correct? Public hearing?
For the year, I believe so. I believe this is... No, you're right. This is the second in total, because they didn't do one so far this year. This is the first for the year.
Right.
They were supposed to do it earlier. Yeah, they were supposed to do it earlier, but they postponed it, and then it got pushed to the 9th, which is when this one happened.
Yeah. So this is the second one, but different people, which I liked. Because if they just would have brought back the exact same last time, the exact same stories, then I would have been upset. And I really like the fact that one of them was George Knapp.
Oh, I will say I'm a fan. So his testimony was awesome, and he basically, towards the end of it, they were asking for people to name names, and he dropped a couple of names that he said were gatekeepers to a lot of this stuff.
He named names? That guy's dead. He's gonna have an accident in the next week. If I may ask, what were the names that he dropped? See if I know any of them.
one was a doctor out of Lockheed Martin, and I don't know if I grabbed that in the highlights or not, but one of them was him, and then the other one, besides mentioning Lakatsky without really naming him as a named person. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I don't think you did either. I don't think that made it into the summary.
Yeah, I was looking into him because it's one of the guy he named at Lockheed Martin is in one of the higher ups in Skunk Works, so kind of makes sense.
I I was kind of, I don't want to say floored, but I was surprised at the fact that George Knapp brought forward like classified Russian like files to talk about, that dealt with their investigations into UAPs.
I had known about those before, and I knew he brought them to the US and he turned them over for the most part after making copies, of course, because I know he's got copies of that stuff. Uh, but I was kind of surprised that it was 1% is what he's saying has basically been released out of everything that he turned over.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, in this, like these incidents and whatnot come from 1982, so it's not like these are happening, in the last couple of years. Like this is stuff that's been going on for decades, or at least the files or whatever were from decades ago.
Oh, Robert Bigelow was one of the other names that he brought up as a gatekeeper and having firsthand knowledge and material, and has had his hands on material that
Oh
is
God,
not of. Yeah,
that's not surprising in any way, shape, or form.
no.
I mean, hell, you could have asked us. Oh my lord, us without the T, without the T. Who would we think, non-government wise would have been included in like the UFO project or UAPs now? And I think Robert Bigelow would have come up.
Well, so he was actually under contract when he had Skinwalker Ranch and all those things. So he was, while not an official government employee, he was definitely a contractor, which is they do talk about that a little in the hearing, that basically they've, in order to get rid of the FOIA requests and all the stuff that we would be able to kind of press for answers for, they can answer honestly if they don't have it, if they turned it over to this contractor, because they're not a government employee, so they don't have it. They kind of spelled a couple of those things, the tricky things that they do to kind of hide this stuff.
um, I want to read this paragraph that you have in here because at the ending of it, uh, it just made me laugh, and I almost wish that we could be maybe this smart. And I never thought that I would say that when compared to the Russians, but uh, investigative journalist George Knapp, who obviously we've been talking about, whose decades of work have consistently challenged official narratives, presented newly disclosed Russian UAP documents that detailed incidents, including one where the UAPs activated nuclear missile launch codes at a Ukrainian base in 1982. He also highlighted cases where Russian fighter jets that attempted to intercept UAPs crashed, leading to a standing order to leave them alone. These revelations underscore a global, decades long cover up by rival superpowers regarding advanced phenomena. I love the whole fact of, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't bother them. Maybe we shouldn't send fighter jets at them to shoot missiles at them.
And yet, have you seen that video that they released during the hearing?
No.
There's some there's different takes on it. So they released a video where it shows an orb, or at least that's what they're calling it in the video. And two Reaper drones are one's surveilling, and the other one moves into position and fires a Hellfire at it. And the missile hits it, and it supposedly keeps flying like no big deal and keeps moving out. There's been a couple of different theories over that out there, just of what it is, or it wasn't really a fully explosive hellfire, but one that they call the Ginsu, which has got blades on it, which is meant to just Ginsu somebody. It's apparently what we use for when we don't want a bunch of collateral damage.
That brings new meaning. It like militarizes the phrase "cut a bitch."
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It just has knives.
But
um,
yeah, apparently the Russians are leave them alone, and we're firing missiles and stuff at them when we're like, we don't know what it is, shoot it.
yep. Well, that's been our freaking motto. Like, you might as well put that under the American flag. Like, we don't know what it is. We're going to shoot at it.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, it doesn't matter what it is or where it is. If it's above our, nation's biggest cities, shoot some things at it. What's the worst?
This was in Yemen, so it wasn't even here.
No, I get that. And I was going to save this for later, but since we kind of brought up drones and whatnot, I had a thought this morning that I'd like your opinion on. And people are always talking about how all of these ships do maneuvers that no human being can survive. It's doing that. That was the big thing with the Tic Tac,
Yeah.
video. It was going at speeds and it was making maneuvers that, 10, 12, 15 G's or whatever. No, it would turn us into puddles of goo, if we were to do maneuvers like that. What if there's no human in it? What if it's like
Correct.
a drone?
Then it
And I don't
wouldn't
mean like an
matter.
alien person, but I mean like, what if there's no living human, just no living being inside these crafts who are making these maneuvers? What if it's all remote?
That would cover part of it. The only part that it won't cover is like that would. Well, I mean, it doesn't have wings, or at least the Tic Tac didn't. I was going to say if a plane were to do some of the moves that it had done, it would rip the wings off at a certain G level.
Well, sure. Um, but if they do have, because we know that Chad Kalick got the blueprints for an anti-grav engine. So if they've developed an anti-grav engine that allows them to do these type of maneuvers with no human being inside, I mean, because if you look at the drone technology now and that we know about as a public, then secretly we've got to be so far more advanced than that. It can't even be compared.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt that some of the stuff. Well, I have no doubt quite a bit of the stuff probably people see and think are aliens are something from us.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, it doesn't. It begs to me. It begs the question: if it is a copy of something that is not, it's from non-human. That where they got it from somewhere, so it doesn't kill the conversation, which I think some people are like, well, if it's they don't want to look at the possibility that it's ours, because I think that dismisses the whole non-human intelligence, and it really doesn't, because they had to get that from somewhere.
Yeah.
They copied it from something else. They didn't come up with it.
If anything, that would further prove the existence of like non-humanoid beings. I think for me, I mean, because as you said, they had to get it from somewhere, and it wasn't Russia. We didn't get it from China. So I mean, I would think that if they were to come out and actually admit that yes, all not all, but like most of these are us doing test runs, and testing out these new aircraft, then I think that would better focus and pose the question of, like you said, where did you get it from?
Well, and I think I really do think the time is coming. I think the time is running out on them for coming out with this on their own, whether or not they come out with it or it gets released by some means other than that, because there everybody has a camera now. I can't begin to tell you how many videos I see on a daily basis of people catching weird stuff. that get sent to me and stuff sometimes, and I think I can't remember who said it. One of them at the hearing talked about it. Just because we have nuclear weapons and that's acknowledged, they're not telling everybody at home how to make them. So just disclosing the information doesn't mean that they're going to tell you how to make this stuff.
That's fair. Honestly,
And
I'm all right with that. I don't need to learn how to make a UFO or a UAP. I just want to know that they exist,
yeah,
and
it's
what
there.
exactly are. Yeah, give me the confession. That's what I want. I don't need the info. Just want the confession.
And they
Um,
also several people
Go
pointed
ahead.
out during the hearing that you know, China and Russia, their best and brightest are working on these things because they're not of the same level that we are. They all their top scientists are told go in there and work on this, where we ridicule it and tell people you're a crackpot, or that's the end of your career if you start looking into this stuff. So
And you know what that tells me? That we've already got it.
well, I'm pretty sure we have it. I just don't think I think we could be farther, or there could be more developments if we actually had some of the higher degreed people, or higher knowledgeable people working on this stuff, like obviously other countries apparently do, because that was one of the things that they were trying to drive home with this, is that the other countries are not they're not being cheap about this, and not trying to they may not talk about it publicly, but their best and brightest are actually working on this stuff.
Good old America. Um, so what Anthony and I wanted to do is, I mean, there was a lot of uh, people that were there that gave witness testimony from all the way back into the 1940s. Uh, and so we thought that we would pretty much just go down the timeline and kind of give what the testimony that they gave said, and bring everybody up to speed to September 9th, 2025.
Yeah. Now I will say the people who actually testified in the open court was the Jeffrey Nuccielli, the Alexander Wiggins, the chief, and Dylan Borland and Knapp. There was the whistleblower guy, and I can't think of his name right now. And he also testified about the whistleblower and the whistleblowing and cracking down on it, and then basically they're needed in government to have oversight. Some of the other ones were definitely they were submitted in writing and weren't there in person. So I know Greer submitted a bunch of the papers and stuff like that as well. And then
Really?
of course,
Dr. Stephen
yeah,
Greer?
yeah, he submitted stuff as well.
Interesting. I
And
did not think that I would hear that guy's name.
yeah, he was actually in attendance. He's in the background if you watch it. Um,
Why did they not have him be part of the panel then if they were going to ask him to submit paperwork?
I kind of think he submits paperwork every so often, whether asked or not. But that's just my take.
I I'm sorry. I love the scene in my head of him just walking into the congressional office or whatever, be like, "I'm here to submit paperwork."
Here's
Dr.
my
Greer, we don't
papers.
need any. Yeah, we don't need any from you today. Well, too bad.
Oh, when I looked into and some of his methods are kind of questionable, if I didn't already question them. But when I looked into Mark McCandlish, and when he came out and did his big press conference that Greer put forth, he wanted McCandlish to name other people's names, and basically that is one of the things that ruined McCandlish's reputation, was coming out, and not to mention the fact that he had a shortened life expectancy after that.
Naming names. Ugh. Worst worst ever. That should be a movie. Just be naming names. um, all right, so we're going back to the 40s. So bear with us here. Uh public denial and a secret study. So, the late 1940s, the U.S. government established a pattern of publicly denying the reality of UFOs while secretly conducting studies. Uh, you made reference to that, and it's still going on now, where we're getting a little better at admitting that there's stuff that we don't understand, and I think that comes from like younger and more open minds maybe in Congress. They're not up to the power level yet, but I think they have enough sway in order to get like these hearings done.
Well,
Uh
I don't know
either
if you heard some. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
I was gonna say I don't know if you heard some of the clips or not, but Luna actually ripped into Kirkpatrick and stuff. Basically, put it on record that he was a known liar and basically was acting as a misinformation agent instead of the job he was given at Arrow. Instead of digging into it, he basically took everyone's information and then went to work discrediting them and attacking them in public and private.
Mhm. I can see that. And that's honestly what they do. I mean, if they're told to do it for whatever reason. Um, all right. 1947, General Nathan Twining. Wow, that's a name.
Winning, yeah.
Described UFOs as quote unquote real and not fictitious, and capable of outperforming any known aircraft. Simultaneously, Stalin tasked top Russian scientists to investigate the Roswell crash debris. How are they going to get that? Concluding it was not from Earth, making the start of the secret Russian UFO investigations. So Stalin wanted access to Roswell.
Yes. That was part of
The
Knapp's
balloon.
papers. Yeah. Yeah, the balloon.
Quote unquote. The balloon. Um, well, that's something I'd never heard of before. But that was part of Knapp's paperwork, huh? That they Russians wanted
Yeah.
access to it and apparently got it.
Well, there's some collusion that happened. I don't know about back then. I know that Gorbachev and damn it, now I'm drawing a blank.
Now
Reagan,
you, I would
Gorbachev
say
and
now you
Reagan
know how
are
it feels.
yeah. I was like Gorbachev and Reagan actually had discussions about it, and they kind of put the subtle hints out there with Reagan with his that we would come together if there was a power outside of humanity that were to attack us. I can't remember the exact wording for the speech, but basically Gorbachev gave a speech that basically said the same type of innuendos in them, and that they would share data. And as far as that was evolved,
Well, I mean, I would really have to say that would be, just like in any movie. And even though I know obviously movies are fictitious, but if you can rally around a common enemy, then everything else gets put to the side.
yeah,
It's, don't worry. After we kill them, we'll get back to killing each other.
each other.
It's pretty much, how that would go, even though we would never survive. um, but I don't know why I found that funny. But anyway, um, but yeah, so that happened in the 40s. And now we're up to the 50s.
50s was the flyovers from Washington, D.C., which they basically tried to dismiss as temperature inversions, even though it appeared on radar, and they dispatched jets. And apparently it was like the DC thing back in the day, except over Washington, D.C., which was, I would imagine, probably quite a show.
So let me ask you this. I have an idea of what it is, but I just want confirmation. What the F is a temperature inversion? Is that like
Temp-
the the thing you see on the road that
No, I think it's like a temperature inversion is technically, I think, a layer of weather that has a different temperature, that like a sandwich layer in between, where this layer has a lower temperature than the above and below, which causes it to do, I don't know, swamp gas is what I'm equating that to. I mean, I know it's a real thing as far as weather goes, but I, I've never heard of it show up on radar before.
Like I'm flabbergasted that they would think that that would even work.
I did. I mean, not to everybody, but to a majority of the people, they went temperature inversion, nothing to see here, and they went, okay,
Uh, I weep for humanity, and this was the 50s.
yes.
Um,
You know, the thing that come that I question is it the fact that they believed that stuff? Because I mean, like with Blue Book and stuff, where they're talking about swamp gases and all this other crazy excuses that to me is just an insult to your intelligence. Is it that they trusted the government that much to just be like, well, they won't lie to us, so that's got to be the truth? Or is it we don't want to know that truth? We don't want to know that there's something else here that we have absolutely no earthly way of defending against, so we're just going to ignore that.
and honestly, that was what popped in my head when you said that they're just like, I'm like, oh, they just want to keep their heads buried in the sand. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, no.
It is how it goes. Uh, huh? I'll be damned. Um, and then obviously, the government and corporate projects, illegally and unconstitutionally. Nice.
Well, yeah, that's also the time frame that you're talking MK Ultra and Mockingbird and all that other stuff really starting to kick off and get into gear. So yeah, not really surprised there.
Boy, we were and probably still are just little bastards.
Oh
We
yeah,
can't even follow our own laws.
I, I'm I'm not. I wouldn't say the CIA is a terrible thing as a whole, but there's definitely parts of it that d- you know it really bring to question what exactly how they operate because there's definitely some shady stuff that goes on there.
Yes, indeed. So the 1960s, 1964, Lieutenant Bob Jacobs at Vandenberg witnessed a UFO disabled a nuclear dummy with a laser beam during a missile test. Film footage was confiscated, and he was ordered into silence. And then years later, Arrow would dismiss his testimony altogether. Well, that was worth it.
Have you seen the have you seen that footage?
Of course, I haven't.
Okay. I was just curious because I mean I've seen it, so I was curious. It's been out there. It's leaked out there before. Uh, they show a ballistic missile test, and it's just it going up, and this thing comes along right beside the missile, and you see a little white light shoot out a couple times, and then the missile just goes breaks apart and comes down. And it's like, I mean, it's 60s video footage, so it's not like you're getting high def or anything, but it's interesting. But I could see how they would throw it out.
Why?
I
How
guess
could
the
they throw
fact
it
that
out?
because I mean, there's just no. Basically, it was taken. There's no chain of custody, so you don't know how. The basics for that incident when it happened is basically the guy took the stuff. He called the commanding officer. He went to take the footage to the commanding officer, and they said that 2 or 3 men in black, basic types, showed up and snipped that piece of footage out and took it. And that was that last time that guy ever saw it.
The good old men in black.
Yeah.
And I think they show up a couple times in this
Oh yeah.
testimony. But now we're to the 70s and the 80s.
Yep. This is when the Soviet Union launched Thread 3, which is basically, from what Knapp said, was the largest acknowledged UFO investigation that went on. And basically, Russia went as much as they could into collecting as much information about them as they could. And I don't remember what year it was when all the crashes and stuff happened when they tried to mess with them, but basically they took an observation instead of trying to actively collect when they saw them. This is also when they went over in '82 in Ukraine and turned the ICBM. They turned all their missiles on and basically turned the launch codes on and were preparing to launch. And at the towards the end of it, when they disappeared, is when the countdown stopped. They ended up. Knapp went on to explain. They went on to explain that they took all those machines apart to try to find the problem with them, and of course, there was no problem. They couldn't explain how or why it happened.
I mean,
And also that I'll go ahead. I was
well,
going to say that was also
go ahead.
I was going to say that's also in the '80s is when Knapp really got into I think initially he jumped into it to debunk it because he had done all the other mafia and crime and all the other stories, and even he will tell you he assumed it would be a quick get in there, knock it out, and move to the next subject, and has been there ever since.
30 years later,
Yeah,
this was a quick one. Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere near that for probably at least another 10 years.
yeah. I'm thinking he'd be happy if he sees it before he while he's still here. I,
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I kind of think that's why he's putting names out more so than he has in the past.
Could be. I mean, maybe he's trying to force some stuff out out into the open. I think he either has some amazing like blackmail dirt on these people to where they won't touch him, or he'll be dead in the next month. I think it'd be one of the two.
Hoping not, but yeah.
Um, well, of course, I hope not too. Um, the guy has his hands into everything. I mean, he's probably going to be the one that will probably crack it wide open eventually. Um, but what I find interesting, obviously, is the fact that these things can come down and just turn on our nuclear weapons or on our ICBMs whenever they want. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they can do that. I mean, we can do so much stuff with computers now, and we're still probably 100 years, you know, less evolved than what these people, what these aliens, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, have available to them. I'm not surprised that they found nothing wrong with the ICBMs. You know, any sort of signal that matches their frequency or whatever would probably turn them on. I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
they had firewalls at that time.
well, I think that was a secured facility, but I mean, of course, I don't think they had any idea that the UFOs would do stuff like that. But it it's just shocking to me that we don't they didn't see that as a warning to hey, quit messing with this stuff.
God, do we ever see it as a warning? You know what we do
No,
is we see it as an inspiration that we just need to get stronger.
and that yeah, that's
And,
essentially what they
and
did.
yeah, uh, and honestly, I get that. I play a stupid war game like every day for like the past like 3 months, and every time I get attacked or I get messed with by somebody more powerful than me, I don't be like, well, maybe I should just stop messing with it. No, it's I need to get stronger. I need to grow because then I can take them out, and then I'm happy. So, and that's about as juvenile as you can get. And I can't imagine a military person not having the same mentality.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, the only way to assess the threat is to be able to eliminate the threat.
that that is the American way. Oh lordy. All right. Well, 1989 into the 90s. What do we got here? So this is George Knapp. He broke the Bob Lazar story. Dave and I have talked about this before on another UAP type of topic show. Um, and I'm on the fence about whether it's real or not. And but the thing about it is that I keep reading these tactics and these things that the military and the government will do to people when they want to. And I and you and I have talked about it. How do you know what's real and what's not when it's with the government? Because they're so good and yet so bad at it. Like they make it almost so obvious that you have to question it. And I'm on that fence line with both. Like, is it real or is it not? Because obviously he Bob Lazar, for anybody who doesn't know, is a guy that worked for the government, claimed reverse engineering extraterrestrial craft um, near Area 51. I don't even know what powered by Element 115 is. What's Element 115?
It was an element that he said existed that if you look it up, they
I don't want to look
didn't.
it up.
They at the time when he said it was element 115, element 115 didn't exist. It was found at least 10 years after the fact when he brought it up that they found it after that. So they just can't produce it in enough volume and it's not stable. So there's not a way to use it as a fuel source, at least by our standards.
Yeah, I bet we did. I bet we stabilized that a long time ago. But this established foundational narrative of government cover up and advanced technology. Uh, Bob Lazar obviously was discredited and was gone after by the government, saying he
Oh,
never
big
worked.
time.
Yeah, he never worked in these facilities. They had no idea who he was. He's making everything up. Um, and yeah, like big time. What does he do? What is Bob? Is Bob Lazar even alive anymore? I can't
Oh,
remember.
he is. He is. They're getting
But
ready to
he,
come out with the new documentary for the S4 facility, which is from everyone that has seen it has said it's going to be awesome because it's going to have a VR element to it as well. So you can actually be like if you're there because they recreate his workspace in the area to detail. I, I'm on the fence with Bob Lazar as well, but I kind of leaning more towards believing him because he is really intelligent and there is enough proof out there to show that they erased part of his story from the some of the places that he said they did. I think they saw him as an easy person to control because of some of his quirks and some of the things that he did, and it backfired and they couldn't control him after all. But there are stories of him taking people out to before he got kicked out, taking them out to around the area to watch the lights show up in the sky and him showing other people these things taking off and coming in and stuff like that before he got before he was kicked out of all that. And they found there's evidence to show that he was, I guess, out there. And the theory that he puts out as far as the powering and stuff behind them falls in line with stories like McCandlish, which falls into T. Townsend Brown, which you can take that back to kind of what the Germans and Nazis were working on with the bell, and follow that even further back to the Vimana from India and stuff like that. So the theories are there. They just haven't been proven yet.
yet being the emphasized word there. Because I mean, honestly, if you want to go after Lazar for talking about Element 115, and then 10 years later, it's proven to actually exist, just maybe not in a stable thing. I would assume that that's a point in his favor.
I would think so. I think in those people who came out like McCandlish and Lazar, uh, McCandlish was supposed to testify in front of Congress, and then he committed suicide out of
Did he
nowhere.
though?
With yeah, yeah, out of nowhere with potential, and going to testify in front of Congress, and was starting to get his career back on track. He decided he had had enough.
When everything's looking up, that's where to end it all.
We're like, I can't take it no more. Yeah, and he theorized along with Lazar the use of mercury in the engines and stuff like that, which it is like you're like, okay, well, mercury, and that's the same thing that the Germans with the Bell used, and there's not really anything for the Vimanas, but basically you fast forward and you look at NASA, and we actually used mercury based fuel for a while, but till we found out, flooding the atmosphere with mercury is probably not good for you because you get mercury poisoning. So they discontinued that use and went to different rocket fuels. But it was supposedly very efficient and worked very well.
It just was going to kill us.
Yes, we were poisoning the environment at that point with heavy metals.
Nice. Go us.
Yeah.
So, 1997, Marine Corps Sergeant Roderick John Castle witnessed a triangular hovering craft with unmarked tactical vehicles and armed men in black uniforms in the California desert. He and his team were detained, disarmed, subjected to unusual medical procedures, including an unscheduled anthrax vaccine booster, and later questioned by NCIS.
Yeah, they were detained at gunpoint
by men in black uniforms, so probably independent contractors.
That would be my guess.
In a triangular hovering craft. In the California desert. I can't even imagine how hot that must have been.
The all black and stuff like that. Well, yeah, they said they were responding to what they thought was a downed craft, which is how they ran into that thing. And then the contractors, because that is what I think they were, showed up, weapons aimed at them, and basically had them disarm them and handcuff them and subdue them while they were doing whatever they were doing. And then he got this vaccine that they said was a vaccine, the anthrax vaccine, although when he requested his medical records, doesn't show that ever happening.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the chip that everybody's yelling about with COVID. Maybe they're the ones that got chipped.
To see where it goes.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure that it's one of those, like, if they ever say a word or something like that they don't like the someone hits a button somewhere and like it releases like a toxin or something and kills them. I don't know.
No, I was gonna say I don't know what. I know he had health issues, he said, after that, and basically wasn't covered because they basically wouldn't acknowledge that ever happening. So, I mean, yeah.
So now we're getting into the 2000s, which stuff really starts to happen. Now, I want you to take up to 2009 because I want 2009. Okay. There's just something in 2009 I can't get over.
So you're going to take it, or you want me to?
No, you go up to 2009.
Okay. So 2000, Army Sergeant Stephen Digna Jr. witnessed a boomerang-shaped flying wing with a smaller V craft following in Fort Irwin, California. Days later, him and his wife reportedly pulled into a diamond-shaped spacecraft and subject to medical experts.
Experiment.
An abduction. Yeah, I was like, I don't know what you say about that, other than this was basically, the hearing was focusing on, I think, military and former and active. which Wiggins, whenever we get to him, was the first active military member to testify in front of Congress about this. October 14th, 2003, Boeing contractors at Vandenberg Air Force reported a massive glowing red square hovering over the missile defense sites. And security guards witnessed this thing as a massive triangular craft, which is Jeffrey Nusatelli's. He basically was an MP for the base and military police for them, and he said there's probably 20 to 30 witnesses that witnessed this thing and made statements about it. And basically he wanted to bring it up because basically every 3 years it's the Air Force's policy to get rid of these military police records for some reason, when that is not the case for just about anything else. On October 14th,
A week
another
after
group,
October 14th.
week after, there was another one that talked about it possibly landing and then took off at impossible speeds after threatening and intimidating them. 2004, this is, I believe, one of Greer's witnesses or witness statements. The TE recovered a triangular shaped man-made UAP 253 feet across with a diamond shaped crew compartment at North Nellis Range. So another missile range. And then in May 2004, TE again with Delta Force personnel encountered a sunflower seed shaped craft at Nellis as well. The craft was hit by a directed energy weapon, and supposedly 3 humanoid ETs emerged, conveying non-hostile messages after you shot them.
Hey, buddy, we're just here looking at it. We're just tourists.
2005. Go ahead.
3 humanoid ETs emerge, and nobody cares.
Well,
apparently,
this is they were apparently instantaneously teleported back to the base at that point after they shot at them. Like I said, this is Greer stuff. So
this is Greer stuff. Okay,
take it with a grain of salt. Nusatelli on 2005 witnessed a 30-foot diameter spear of light hovering over his home, which is his. He said it was larger than a C-130, and they asked him during what he did after he saw this, and his first thing was to go in the house and make sure nobody had been abducted, and then call base command and tell them what was going on. And then we switched over to 2009, and I'll let you have Herrera's.
Yes. 2009, October. Michael Herrera witnessed a rotating, color-changing octagonal craft with a pyramid on top and scales over Sumatra, Indonesia. During Sumatra, Indonesia. During humanitarian assistance. His Marine Corps again, was disarmed and threatened by unknown, heavily armed American-speaking soldiers in black uniforms. Sound familiar?
Yep.
And he was forced to sign an NDA. His camera SIM card and battery were removed. So this is why I wanted 2000, not for Michael Herrera, but for this next one.
Oh, okay.
Witness MS. So another one of Greer's.
Yes, that is a Greer one.
Observed a 20-foot saucer-shaped craft at Dugway Proving Ground. I don't know what proving means, but okay.
Proving ground.
Proving. It is proving. I read that right when the first time I read it. I don't know why I changed it. Dugway Proving Ground. That makes more sense. Utah, and was briefed on a massive underground facility, connected it to the deep underground military bases known as DUMBs. So
I
they
knew you'd like that
literally,
one.
yes, and that is why I wanted 2009. So they named these underground bases, dumb.
Yes.
Like it hurts my head
The
to
fact that they
like
came up with that acronym.
and kept it. Like it makes me think like they're taunting us, but like
I
you're
was like,
dumb if you believe this
yeah, I was gonna
type of
say
thing.
it's almost like because they do have those and they are acknowledged. So Colorado, the big nuclear missile base where everybody gets taken to if there's a nuclear incident, the president and the that it's that basically what that is. It's a deep underground military base. They just don't refer to it as dumbs because it just it sounds dumb.
Like
They're
it's they had to have done this on purpose because they don't need the word deep in there. It could just be an underground military base.
yeah.
The fact that they intentionally made the acronym dumb is dumb. So I guess it fits. But
I'm
I mean,
assuming that was some sort of engineer joke or something, maybe.
it had to. Like, what should we call it? I know. Like somebody was like they did it at the Christmas party that year when everybody's drunk on eggnog, and it came up with this. They're like brilliant. I just I can't I
What are
can't
you
get over
tasked
just some
to?
of these.
I'm the dumbs because it's dumb to be building a base so far under. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I can only assume that was someone's jab at having to do those.
Maybe, but then again, like I mentioned, I think well, not the last episode, but in one of these recent episodes that we've done, that there's just these really stupid names like Project Donut and
Oh
that
yeah,
that sort of thing. They just have like these. Some of these just have these really idiotic names to them, and either
but
their military life is so boring that that's the only way that they can liven it up, or we just really are not good at naming things.
or is it on purpose? Is it that if you feel silly or stupid going looking for dumbs or going to look for, yeah, I was going to say, and you try to talk to people about this and be like, so let's talk about dumbs. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
I
Like,
need to
I
go
would never
find
use
the
their
dumb.
acronyms.
I need to go find the dumb. Well, you know what? It's right there. You're standing in the same spot.
So I
Uh,
have some of them probably are on purpose to basically discourage you. I would think, or
maybe I don't know.
if they ever got out, maybe you'd be like, that can't be real. Operation Donut.
Operation Donut. And it is not to get the president his sprinkles. I assure you of that one. Uh, so okay, 2010. Now we have Dylan Borland, and this is your Chief Alessandro Wiggins.
Yes.
So 2012. Dylan Borland witnessed a large triangular craft 1 to 2 stories thick, 100 feet wide, with gold plasma like fluid at Langley Air Force Base. His phone froze and the craft descended silently to commercial jet levels. We're talking 30, 40, 45,000 feet in seconds.
Yes.
In 2013, the same gentleman left the Air Force and his career was subsequently, quote unquote, deliberately obstructed in his experience, and he experienced sustained reprisals and blacklisting after being exposed to classified UAP information. Green Beret Randy Anderson was taken. This is I don't even get this one. Green Beret Randy Anderson was taken to an quote unquote off-world technology division at Naval Special Warfare Center in Crane, Indiana, where he
Yep.
saw seamless metal materials and a holographic tablet. And when I read that originally, I stopped and I'm like, are you sure he just wasn't watching the Avengers? Like that
That
just,
is that's what's kind of described, but yeah. Uh,
but off-world technology division. Like that needs more, that needs a follow-up
oh yeah.
on what that is. Like, did he just say this during the thing and nobody was like, what do you mean off-world?
Yeah,
Did
well,
nobody pass throw out a follow-up?
they didn't do follow-ups on that particular part of it. I mean, he was if of all of them that are speaking, uh, you there's a lot of emotion in what Borland was when he's talking because he's just been messed with so much. He's I mean, it's obviously been a huge burden on him for trying to bring forth what he brought forth and the blacklisting and stuff like that that's happened to him because basically he's can't get a job anywhere from what he was saying at the hearings, which is sad. But I mean, in the same breath, it kind of leads credibility because why would they do all that stuff if there was nothing there?
Agreed.
Like you're literally trying to ruin this person's life because they're not. I mean, I can't see like the CIA and the military and everything be like, well, this guy's a crackpot. Quick, let's kill his any sort of potential going forward. They just kick you out and call it a day, as opposed to trying to
Well,
ruin your life.
I can assure Mr. Borland that if he applies to UPS as a package handler, they will hire him on the spot. They don't even need to look at records. Just if you breathe and can walk, you're good.
You're hired.
You're hired. Be here at 4 a.m. 2019, we get the year Chief Alessandro Wiggins served aboard the USS Omaha during a swarm incident involving UAPs, one of which reportedly submerged into the sea, which doesn't surprise me. And that brings us to recent years, the 2020s. Take it away, my friend.
2021, all UAP videos have been classified secret or above, indicating increased government control over the information. Surprise.
Mhm.
2021, we start talking about it and they basically classify it and try to take it out of the narrative, basically. February 15th, 2023, Chief Wiggins aboard the USS Jackson observed four self-luminous tic-tac shaped objects emerge from the Pacific Ocean off Southern California. I believe that's warning area 291 or 293, but it's basically where they've had the video of the glowing blue water and stuff coming out of it or coming up to the top and then going back down. But basically, that same area where all the other activities happened is where he saw this. Uh, he also he has sensor data and stuff like that, and they caught it on all their sensors and stuff, and basically turned that over to Arrow with Wiggins. March 2023, Dylan Borland met with Arrow. Uh, didn't feel comfortable with the interview process and did not give them the full. Uh, he withheld sources and methods because he felt that they were misrepresenting the truth. Shock.
Mm-hmm.
Summer 2023, Grush came forward in that last hearing that they did and basically put out his statement about the crash retrieval programs during sworn testimony, and was systematically they tried to ruin his existence as well too by leaking even medical records and stuff about him. They didn't talk about what happened exactly, but I guess in the week leading up to this, something happened where they had to get law enforcement involved with Grush because something had transpired or tried to transpire with him and being involved or them going after him. and they had to get the FBI and stuff involved, was what they were talking about in the hearing, but they wouldn't go into details. August 2023, Borland testified to the Intelligence Community Inspector General. Following Grush's testimony, he did say Grush gave him the inspiration to come forward and talk more about it, which, I mean, his life was pretty well ruined, so why not at that point? October 30th, 2024, the video shown is the MQ-9 drones tracking an orb off the coast of Yemen, and another MQ-9 fires the Hellfire missile into it, and you can see 2 to 3 pieces of debris that kind of flake off of it or are around it, and then it cuts or it zooms out, and you can see, if that is the complete video, the drone just flying like nothing happened to it. So even
Shields.
with, yeah, or yeah, with, I don't know, that's like us trying to do a slingshot on something, a airplane or something, because it. My first thought when I saw it was like, why the hell are you shooting at this thing?
Because it's what we do.
We don't know what that is. Quick, shoot it down.
Mhm.
Like, okay.
We'll figure out what it is when it's on the ground.
Yeah. November 2024, Borland subjected to phishing attempts and a counterintelligence polygraph. He applied for a job, and basically they required a polygraph. So he went under there, and they basically tried to interrogate him about what other whistleblowers and what exactly he had told the inspector general during his complaint. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. That's just crazy in itself. July 24th, 2025, Representative Kane sent a letter to the DoD concerning Grush's alleged reprisals, and has not heard anything back, surprisingly, yet. September 9th, House Committee Task Force Declassification Federal Secrets hearing held. They titled it the Restoring Public Trust to UAP Transparency and Whistleblower Protections, and basically talks about the people involved there. Joe Spielberger was the other gentleman that was there, who was there for the whistleblower rights, basically that Whistleblower Protection Act, and made his case that it, it depends on which administration is in power, depending on who's coming forward. But really, this needs to be a bipartisan, and we need to stop using it as a political weapon. It just needs to be available for people to come forward when they don't feel comfortable with something that they're seeing in that setting, which I totally agree with. It's not
I agree with. I 100% agree with that too. The only problem is you're right. It depends on the administration. Because, I mean, if this were even a Reagan, a Bush, whether it's Obama or Biden, then yeah, they would all abide by. They would all agree that whistleblowers need to be protected by any means necessary for their testimony. But you have somebody in power now who don't give a crap. And I mean, the only reason that any whistleblower would be protected is if whatever they have to say has nothing to do with the current administration, period. But if somebody's going to come out and they have, there goes one of my things, and they have against the current administration, there's been no protections whatsoever. Like they've even been named by the president, like publicly,
Yeah,
as being,
and I totally agree that this should be a bipartisan. It should not matter who's in power. There should be some sort of policy or something in place. Going to the inspector general does not get you blacklisted. And I mean, the stuff that happens to people after that, and these are the people that we know about. So this is not like Herrera was actually in the audience. He didn't testify, but he was in the audience. So I guess he submitted paperwork. But he is one of the ones that has said that it was not a positive thing to whistleblow because basically there's no protections for you, and you're basically committing career suicide, which is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And then depending on what you know, you could shorten your lifespan depending on what you know,
You know
um,
what you know? Yep.
and how big of a voice you have in there. So yeah, I really think that's one of the only things that saved Lazar was Knapp and Corbell and them. I think left to his own thing, he probably would have been a person who committed suicide eventually as well.
Car accident, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
If you talk about how far back does it go and stuff like that, and I've talked about Parsons and some of the stuff that I've done, and Jack Parsons. There's there's definitely two sides to that theory as well because he was part of the Suicide Squad for the coming up with the jet fuel uh, formulas for NASA and the rockets and stuff like that. And basically, he was basically kicked out because of dealings with Aleister Crowley and stuff like that back then. And that came to light, and basically he got all his clearances taken away, and he died in a accident in his basement where it exploded and took him out. And there's definitely a side that questions, was it an accident?
yeah. I I think we all know the answer to that one. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry. Uh, But again, I mean, as the government, you don't really care. You silenced them. You're going to make some sort of mildly believable reason for why his basement exploded, and people are going to move on with their lives.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, they're essentially going to do the okay and go. Uh,
I will say that I was one of the documentaries that I watched that was Claris, the Brazil, one of the Brazil ones where they had the UFOs that basically took blood from the people. And one of the descriptions they give kind of sounds similar to what Borland described as the craft with the gold plasma and stuff all over it as one of those crafts.
so this is going to be quite. We'll probably end it on this one. I mean, after
Okay.
our final thoughts. But as I'm reading over all of these instances that have happened over the decades, all of these crafts are different. Like
Yes.
there doesn't seem to be any uniform to it. This one's boomerang. This one's tic tac. This one is a sunflower seed. This one's a cigar. And do you think that these are on the assumption that they're man-made? Do you think that they are just different prototypes trying to figure out the best way of getting these reverse engineered technology the most efficient use? And if you don't believe that they're man-made, do you think that these are different, I don't want to say factions, but like different types or species of alien, and those are their type of craft? Going back to like Star Trek, like Ferengi have a certain design, and Romulans have a certain design, and we have a certain design.
I kind of lean. I'm not saying that they're not. It couldn't be all different species, nationalities, whatever. They come out with these things. I kind of lean more towards Star Wars with that though, where you have the Death Star, then you have the transport, then you have the TIE fighters, and you have the. So I think it's the role that the craft plays.
So
Whereas like a Tic Tac could to be like a scout or something like that, or surveillance. And the big triangles are obviously, this is a huge, like, moving ship, mother's type ship or something.
I can see that one, because as you were talking about how, like the gold plasma and stuff like that, and how they were taking blood, and I'm like, maybe that's a medical ship,
Yeah.
you know, type of thing. Um, Medical frigate. Let's use, if we're going to go Star Wars, we got to go medical frigate.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, for anybody listening, if they choose to, let us know what you believe to be, what side of the aisle are you on when it comes to these crafts. I mean, we're looking at all sorts of different, like, species and whatnot of ETs. Is it all man-made, or is it all one species, or one, like, federation, but different types of ships?
I will say, over just looking at some of the stats and stuff like that, as far as percentage wise goes, I think orbs are probably the highest percentage, which are almost 40% right now of what
Hate
is
orbs.
seen and what is reported. It's just,
Even,
it's a glowing whatever.
even when they're aliens, hate orbs. um, so all in all, I mean, I only have your summary, so I can give an opinion on that. But you actually probably
Yes.
watched both of them. This one last year and this year. I've watched one last year. Um, have not gotten to this year's. But I mean, have we done anything to further our understanding of what these are, or are these just more stories from people who have seen it? You know,
So I think it pushes forward the story, but I mean, so you had all the former intelligence and stuff like that came out with the last one, because Elizondo and all them, and they basically said it's real. Grush was probably I would think the biggest part of that was saying that we had biologics and had crash recovered and stuff like that. So I mean, they're saying these things in Congress, which is not, people shouldn't take lightly, but I don't think it gets paid as much attention as it probably should, because people, unless it shows up in a TikTok, ain't gonna really care. But I think it pushed it forward. And one of the things that I heard that I've been trying to dig into more was Borland talking, and I can't recall exactly what his wording was, uh, but he did talk. There were a couple of things that Borland said. For a lot of the agencies coming out and saying that there's no proof of alien life, he basically described what would be required to say that it was alien, so that they were obfuscating, and it's almost on a psyop level, because that we do have materials that are definitely not from here or from us. He said that basically, to scientifically say that it's extraterrestrial, we'd have to go to their planet, recover the same item, and bring it back for comparison to what we have. So
that's
scientifically,
ridiculous, but okay.
it scientific definition of it. So scientifically, they are answering you correctly. No, there is no proof of ET. Now, he said that, but in saying that, it's like a psyop, because they're not, even Knapp agreed with that they're not, they're basically, we don't assassinate people anymore. We targeted kill people. Much different thing. Totally different. Not even the same thing. So I get that. I get that. And the other thing was he talked about one time only, is something about a 7-year plan. And he kind of talked about it, that 7 years needed to be pushed up. And no one asked any follow-ups to that. And they kind of changed, it went on, it continued on after that comment was brought up. So I'm curious if this is not the slowly, or they're trying to slow walk it out. But I don't think, if the things like Bledsoe and some of the other things that have been happening are just going to continue and come out with it, like they're not going to have a choice. But I also, in that same breath, think that they've kind of said that it is there and it does exist, and it's our government or contractors or private companies that are covering it up.
So you have somebody saying that they were taken to an off-world thing of
Now,
technology.
that's just the division inside one of the DUMs, is
I
what he
I
was
I
basically
get
talking
it.
about.
I
Okay.
get it. Don't think that I'm talking about like he was actually taken off world. But I
Well, because
mean,
there are stories like that too, and it's just
I'm
like,
sure there are, but not here.
yeah, not
This
here,
is
not at
it's
this
a
thing.
division that has to do with being off world. No follow up is given. You have
Well,
Knapp mentioning a 7-year plan that might be need to be. No follow up is given. And then
Borland is the one who talked about the 7-year plan.
Borland, I thought you said it
Knapp
was Knapp.
No, Knapp confirmed with the ET that the definition for ET. He said that they were using that as a way to skirt or to answer in a correct but very shady. They're not basically telling you the truth of the matter. Like I said, that's the
Okay,
same thing as the targeted killing versus assassinations. But it's really the same thing. Let's be
gotcha. I didn't
honest.
know that you'd switched persons. So my
Sorry.
apologies on that one. Misunderstood. So Borland is
Yes.
talking about a 7-year plan
And this is when
that
he's in the
might
middle of
be
his discussion.
right. And so and no follow up is given on that one either.
No.
It just skirted past and swept under the rug. Are these hearings an attempt to look transparent while not giving away anything of importance? Or do you believe that this task force of the oversight committee is actually looking for answers? Because it doesn't really seem that way to me.
It if you go watch it, I think the task force, at least a majority of the members on it, are looking for answers to the stuff, because like Burchett, I believe, believes in it. Luna, I'm pretty sure, believes in it, and Burleson, and you know, surprisingly, even some of the Democrats that were there seemed genuinely interested in it. Now,
Wait, wait,
could
wait,
they
wait,
have
wait, wait,
been?
wait, wait. Are you trying to tell me that the conservative side and the Republican side are the ones that are open minded to
Well, these
UAPs?
are
But but
these believe.
but the Democrats.
Well, no, I mean, you got Schumer and everybody that basically, but they're not really backing the whistleblower stuff right now for whatever. I mean, I think that gets into the left versus right thing. And they're like, well, if you're putting it forward, we can't endorse it, which is dumb. But I think that gets into the left and the right fights. But for the most part, everyone on that I saw, both sides, seemed actually interested in the topic and wanting to push forward with it. And basically saying that we were being lied to and there's stuff being covered up that should not be covered up.
Something fishy going on here, my friend. That's all I got to say about that one.
They did say that they were blocked, and basically, they've even talked about trying to get stuff, clearances and stuff through, that get denied by people in the office of this other person and not even that person themselves. So they're basically being blocked from even getting it to that person in the process.
Mm, mm. Political power. I don't even want to get into it, but all right. Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens next year when we
Hopefully,
have.
I was going to say, hopefully it doesn't take that long. And if we're on the if our timeline is right, they won't have too much more of a window to actually disclose this stuff before something happens outside of their control.
Yeah, before Romulus aligns with the Sphinx and we all get a brand new outlook on life. Gotcha.
Well, I mean, look what they did with the Jersey stuff. I mean, like I said, I really think that was as close to like what happened in DC back in the 50s. But I think in the 50s, people just took their word for it and or whatever. Whereas at least some people are still asking about the Jersey stuff.
Not enough, and not the right people.
Oh,
But we'll get there, whether we're forced there or we get there voluntarily. We'll get there eventually. Um. So, all right. Well, I honestly, I got nothing left.
yeah. I mean, I think it was positive, but I don't know what happens from it.
Well, we're only a few days out, so from it. Um. So I guess we'll see in the next couple months if anything starts to happen, or maybe some more
They did,
FOIA requests or something like that.
they did talk about getting Borland, Nusatelli, and I don't think Wiggins was because I think all his stuff is public, and the Navy is, for whatever reason, the Navy's being pretty clear with everything and giving over the data. But I think those Air Force and Borland were basically going to be going into a skiff, or they were going to try to get him into a skiff. But they did talk about that he couldn't tell them some of the stuff if they didn't know the keywords, the code words to the programs, which is another thing that they were like, so you got to know this magic word to get this information. And he said, yes. Or you can go to Gabbert and ask Gabbert for permission to get this stuff. So,
God, Tulsi.
yeah.
Ding.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Give her
Like
a
I said,
10. She'll be fine.
like I said, the fact that 1% of what Nat brought back in the 80s is out there is, I was shocked. I thought more of that would be out there, especially since he smuggled it out. But
I really want to interview that guy.
oh, he
One day, perhaps. All right. Well, Anthony and I will be back next week with another brand new show. Hopefully, I'll have time to do to set it up the way I want. And if that's the case, it should be I think a very good episode. Not that, like, any
I
other
think so.
episode isn't, but yeah, we shall see. But we'll see everybody here again next week, next Sunday morning. And yeah, until then, stay healthy, stay safe. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.